Hi, I'm Linda Leon, and welcome to the Author's Journey. It has given me such pleasure to meet with you over the last few weeks in our new series from my book, Publishing and Publicity for Smart People. We've talked about a lot of things that I think will help you to get on the right track. And the purpose of this year's programs is going to be to put structure into your book marketing process and your book development process. Whereas over the last couple of years when we've done this series, we were just focusing on strategies that you could use to market your book. But this time we're going to lay it out in a consistent format. So our first topic covered what does it take to make an effective book, things that you want to see in a book that's well produced. In our second podcast of the year, we talked about finding your audience, the importance of strategizing and looking at all possibilities in terms of who it is that you want to purchase your book. And then I gave my own personal example and talked about how difficult it was for me to find my audience. I thought I was on the right track, and then after spending about 2 years in the process, realized that it was not the right path. And then I had to regroup. This came about with me talking to a particular friend. She gave me an idea. I tried it. And that wound up being the audience that actually purchased copies of my book. And it has gone on for over 10 years. So once you find that audience, you will sell books. But you've got to find the audience. And defining it means looking at your demographics. Who are you trying to contact? And sometimes to brainstorm, you have to use things like directories to look at different categories of people and ask yourself the question, will this person purchase my book? And then once you find it, you put all your marketing efforts that direction. Well, what we're going to talk about today is another important topic. We're going to discuss the language of the deal, because if you're going to be in the book business, you have to understand the terminologies that are used. Once you go through and have an understanding of the different type of terminologies, then you're in a better position to not only market, but negotiate rates for selling your books into bookstores. You're better able to talk to people when you're trying to make connections. Say, for example, you want to do a seminar or something like that, and you might want to use sponsors, and we talked about sponsors on some of our previous telecasts. When you want to do that, you want to present yourself professionally, so you have to learn the language associated with how to communicate with sponsors. It's all kind of things like that that you have to gear up with if you want to do this on a regular basis, be productive, and show professionalism in your work. Now, this is what I would suggest you begin to do, and I mean immediately. Start to do this immediately. Begin to read business marketing books that are related to the book industry. Find books that are written by people in marketing. Find books that are written by publicists. Find books that are written by people who have sold bestsellers. And many of those people have what they call guerrilla marketing books. I mean, they've already sold their 100,000 copies of a book. Now they're going to sit down and tell you how they did it in a book. You want to be sure to pull those type of things into your way of doing business. So you want to spend time reading books. You might think that's such a small statement. You know, why should I spend time reading books, especially business books related to marketing? But when you do, you broaden your scope. You have so many more tools to work with, and it acts as a point of inspiration. The point of inspiration guides you to your next step. I have so many books on business books. Now, we talked about at the beginning of the year how this is a partial stack of books that I have read in a year, all related to my business, and a couple that I read personally because it helps me to become a better writer. But I probably have twice this many in just business books related to the book industry. I make myself aware of what goes on in the book business community. I keep myself abreast of the changes in the marketplace. I make sure to study new things, new ideas, new concepts, and then I make it my business to apply those things to what I do for myself personally with my book projects and for my clients. And so if you want to really advance your book and make sure that you get the best mileage for everything you do, learn the language. Learn what people mean when they're talking about the book industry, whether it's things that you might learn at a trade show, things that you might learn through just reading. Online today, there are so many resources available where you can sit back and actually listen to many podcasts, just like you're doing with mine, to learn about the book business. And so take advantage of the materials that are out there. One of the things that I do is every Friday I have a new podcast sent to me on search engine optimization, because that's part of my developing in the book industry, learning how to make my materials and my clients' materials more visible. So every Friday I get a podcast that comes in and I watch that podcast. I'm learning the language of search engine optimization. I have another one that comes in to me that teaches new marketing principles. And this is all things I do online. Not just reading books to get it, though that's a great part, and there's some wonderful books that you can purchase that will help you in that area. But I utilize every online resource I can to make sure that I'm staying on top of things. And so in part of developing your book business, you need to stay on top of things. And that's if you're the youngest person writing the book, even to the person that's the oldest. One of my favorite clients was I think she was 85 years old, and she was on it. She made sure that she stayed active in every part of her marketing process. She was learning along the way. She was utilizing the concepts that we presented, and it was just a joy to work with her because she had an open mind. So you don't want to just write a book and say, here, I'm passing it out to a potential group of people to purchase it. You want to engage in the whole process. And when you engage in the whole process, that means you have to go through a learning curve. So that's where I'm going to end the podcast today. And my challenge to you is going to be to find 3 resources that can expand your knowledge of the book industry this week. And then when you find them, why don't you email me? Email me and tell me what you thought, what you learned. I will be glad to know. And I will be willing to share that on some of the upcoming podcasts, because I really want this year to be one where we're setting a structure and you're actually engaging in the process. So that's what I want you to do. I want you to find 3 resources, and find good ones, that will help you to learn the language of the book business, or something that you can engage in that will help you to better market and present your book based on the audience that you defined from our last session.